Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, calls for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. No doubt about it, that is my favorite hymn. I absolutely love that hymn. I know that when I was doing campus ministry, even that hymn really spoke to the students who were in our campus ministry group down there in North Carolina. And you know, it's I think part of it is the tune of the song, but it's also the words that just speak of someone who is looking for the blessings of God and searching for those blessings of God. And even though this person wanders away from God, God is there to offer help and guidance and grace. And it's such a wonderful hymn. And I think it's such a good reminder for us, especially when we're facing times of struggle. It's good to be reminded of. But you know, that second verse of the hymn has that word in it that I think for a lot of people is a confusing word. The second hymn, the second verse goes like this: Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come, and I hope by thy good pleasures safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He, to rescue me from danger, interposed his precious blood. It's that word right there in that first line of that second verse. Here I raise my Ebenezer. A lot of folks have asked me, what does that word Ebenezer mean? It's such a weird word, and if we're not talking about, Christmas Carol, we really don't know what Ebenezer is all about. But, the word Ebenezer in Hebrew actually means stone of hope. That's what that word literally means. Ebenezer is a stone of hope. And the reference comes to us from a story in 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 7. And it was a period of time where Samuel was leading the people. This is before they had chosen their king, and Samuel was leading the people as a prophet and as a judge, as one who was leading the people of Israel. And they were facing a difficult situation because their enemies, in Samuel it's almost always the Philistines, their enemies were coming up against them. And in this particular time, Samuel encouraged them to lift up prayers to their God, and Samuel did a sacrifice, and as he sacrificed this animal to God, God had brought him victory. And that's where we see in verse 12 that after the battle was over and after they had won the battle against the Philistines, Samuel took a stone and he set it up. And he set that up and he named it Ebenezer, for he said, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." So you see, Ebenezer was this symbol. It was this sign of God's help. It was this stone of help that reminded the people that God had been with them and would continue to be with them. It was a symbol that even after that time passed, that would always stand there as a reminder for them. I was encouraged to do this devotional as I was reading another devotional myself by a person named Johnny Erickson Tata. Some of you may know Johnny Erickson. She's a Christian author and speaker. She was one who, when she was 18 years old, she was paralyzed after diving in to a body of water, and that paralysis put her in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. She talked about how many different signs of God's help there are out there. He says in Scripture, you see things like the rainbow, which was a sign of God's deliverance and God's help. You see the signs and the symbols that are used in Passover, that is a sign of God's rescue and help to the people of Israel. You see our communion elements as a sign of the presence of God in the midst of all of this. Johnny Erickson said that for her, that sign of hope, that symbol, was actually her wheelchair. And you know, when you think about it, you think of something like a wheelchair as being more of a symbol of confinement than it is of help. But for her, that became her Ebenezer. That wheelchair was her Ebenezer because even though she was confined to it, it allowed her to understand the help that she could receive. And she saw that as God's Ebenezer to her. I'm sitting outside here beside this rock. This is one that Melanie found somewhere, and we put it up out in our front yard. And you know, maybe I don't always see that as my Ebenezer, as this sign of God's help. But you know what? As I was thinking about this devotional, that's what it became for me. This sign of peace, and that God is with us and God can help us. In that devotional, Johnny Erickson Tada asked us to look for our signs and our stones of hope. And you know, that challenge for me was a good one because it really did make me wonder, are there places that I can begin to see or remember because of what I see, those symbols of God's help and comfort? And so maybe that becomes the challenge for us now. Look around your room. Look around your places where you walk. Look around your yards. Look for symbols that may be for you a stone of hope, an Ebenezer. Name that thing your Ebenezer to remind you that God is with you and God is there to help you. You know, for each of us, I think that Ebenezer will be something different. But my hope and my prayer is whatever that symbol is for you, it can be a reminder of God's presence, especially in the midst of some very hard times. So, find and raise that Ebenezer as a reminder that God is with you.